So I'd always wanted to be an actor.
Acting, directing, all that stuff. All we're going to talk about
Yes.
all that. Piece it all together. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, so I'd always wanted to be an actor since high school. I did a play in 10th grade that really that everybody complimented me on, that really gave me the confidence saying, hey, this is what I want to do. But I ended up joining the military, and then I got complacent and I did not pursue it for like many
Mm.
years. So it wasn't until after I left California, came back home, I started going to school, and I went to Milwaukee Area Technical College, the same school I went to before joining the Marines, except I went to school for they have a television and video production program there. So my dad had told me about it, like, why don't you, instead of going to film school, because I was like, oh, I want to go to film school. I want to go to film school. But he was like, this is less expensive. You could use your GI Bill, your military benefits, whatever. And I'm like, how come you didn't tell me about this before?
Mm-mm.
So I ended up going to school. Spent about 4 years there getting a because I got my gen eds first, getting a associate's degree from there. And but after I graduated, so I got to create content for school and acting, the things I
Okay.
was creating. Some of it got shown on like local public television station here that is owned by the school actually, and so it got those juices flowing again. But once I graduated, I wasn't able to find work in
Right.
that field. It was
Yes.
all my classmates are trying to get hired at local news stations, and there's limited jobs doing that, and the jobs aren't paying very well. So I went back to working regular jobs again. I started being depressed. I had 2 kids, and it wasn't until so I wrote a script during that time too, but I had no outlets. I didn't know how to go about following my dream.
Where to
So
take it to? Hmm.
so it wasn't until a cousin, he's actually my dad's cousin in Chicago. He's actually, his wife is my dad's cousin, so her husband. But he was posting stuff on Facebook about being an extra, being doing background work on these different television shows that shoot in Chicago, like Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, Chicago PD. These are different television shows that were being shot in Chicago. And he's posting pictures of himself on set and being on these shows. And I'm like, how are you getting on
Yeah. How
these
can I
shows?
get on? Yeah. Yeah.
There was a family reunion, but I didn't get to attend it. So my dad had talked to him, and he was like, oh, he said, hit him up. He said, reach out to him and this and that. So I messaged him on Facebook, hey, how are you, getting these roles? And he sent me to this Facebook page that was casting for extras. He was like, yeah, you just send a selfie, a picture, based on the casting call, what they're looking for. We're looking for real nurses or cops or people to play patients, whatever. And looking for people between these ages, male. Send a selfie to this email address, so on and so forth. So I did that for this one casting call, and I got booked like
Okay.
right away. And you would have thought I got booked for a series regular on some major television show. The way I celebrated, I told my
Right. You
friends,
celebrate any win. Yeah. I mean,
I was so
big or
happy.
small.
I was
Yeah.
so excited. I was like, I got booked for Chicago Fire to be on the episode of Chicago Fire. I'm gonna be on next week, this and that, blah, 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 blah. Go down to Chicago. Everybody's all congratulations and this and that. So I ended up being on the show, and I did my best to like make sure I was on camera right next to the person that's talking, the star, character that's talking. And I remember they had a clip of the show of me like standing right next to the main character that's talking. And it was on some, like one of my sister or somebody took a picture of it. And I'm right there with the NBC logo on my chest. And I'm like, I posted it on Facebook and on social media, like, made my debut on Chicago Fire, blah, blah, blah. And people started giving me compliments like, hey, he looks like he should be doing background work for you. So that boosted my ego even more. So I kept on submitting to different roles on these different, as extra on these different shows. I started getting booked kind of regularly. And then I'm like, all right, I need an agent. So my cousin was telling me, yeah, this is the agent I'm signed with. So I ended up submitting my, headshots and stuff that I'd just gotten to them, and they signed me. So I started doing auditions for them. I eventually got booked for some print shoots and some
Okay.
commercials and stuff like that. It's actually funny because I got booked for a local commercial for the Wisconsin Lottery before I even started doing background work. It was something that same cousin had sent me. I went to an
Mm.
audition for this local casino. I didn't get the casino role, but they ended up saying they want to book me for this Wisconsin lottery commercial. So that was like the first role I did. But then I started doing background work,
Okay.
and I got signed with an agent, started getting booked more regularly. Then I ended up getting another agent, same thing. And then I started creating my own content. And then I started networking with the local filmmaking community. And then I partnered up with a guy who became a friend of mine. We started making our own films. We co-wrote a film that we just premiered, and just started building from there. And now, I'm just trying to elevate every year.
Elevate, yeah, go up from there, right. So,
Yeah.
real briefly, because like I said, we don't have much, but real briefly, I wanted us to discuss Diary of an Accomplice. Like, and I just want to kind of dig just a little deeper into that because I know you said you was raised by women, and I want to know how did you prepare for that particular role that you played in that clip, well, in that movie. And it's a multi-layered question. Like, how did you prepare for that particular role, and how did that resonate with you? Like, how did you get out of that character as well? Because there's a process of get out of that character, and just kind of give a little bit deeper into that particular movie.
Yeah, yeah. So initially I didn't want to play this role. Actually, I didn't write this film. I produced it,
Oh,
I acted in
oh,
it.
you produced it. Okay.
Yeah. So the woman approached me about playing this character, and at first I didn't want to do it, but then I thought, believe it or not, this could be therapeutic for me playing this kind of role. I could learn how to deal with my own emotions, my own anger
True, true.
through this character. Granted, I've never done the things this character has done in real life, but I
I bet
have
not.
thought about doing them, some of them, not all of them, but some of them. Um, I have dealt with my own anger issues in real life. Um, I have not hit a woman or done those things, but I've had quarrels with my lady or different women as a young man, and I have imagined doing some of the things that this character has done.
Mhm.
And I'd also just thought of, you know, I can use substitutions for the anger, the abuse. Like I can use things that I'm really mad about in real life, or what I've dealt with certain family members or in-laws, even because in this film, this character Melvin, he is always talking about Vicky, his wife's sister. I know your sister is doing
Mhm.
this, talking about me. I know she is saying
Yes.
doing this. Well, I can relate to that because in real life, I have had a sister-in-law who has talked about me and has,
Mm.
I've approached my wife and said, "Hey, I know your sister is talking all this crap or doing this or doing that." And I felt real anger about that. So when I'm playing this character, I just use those emotions, use that substitution
Yeah.
to trigger that behavior
Right.
for
And
that
use that
character.
as an outlet. Mhm.
Right, exactly. And it wasn't hard. It wasn't hard at all to tap into the anger, but it was cringy for me to be slapping this woman and pretending, especially for the motivation for this character. So I had to use certain substitutions in my mind to elicit those emotions, and also had to look at my character as not being a bad guy. I had to look at him as being like righteous in his own mind, that he feels like he's doing this because he has
Mhm.
to.
Mhm.
He's
Mhm.
not thinking that he's a bad guy. I had to not be
Mhm.
judgmental towards that character that I'm playing, which I initially was, and just use his righteous thinking to pull out that behavior. So that's pretty much what I did to play Melvin.
Okay. Okay. All right. And how did you what was your process of transitioning from that role after after everything wrapped?
So while we were shooting, and this may sound bad, I guess, but me and the young lady who played my wife, we were laughing a lot in between takes. Like her and I both. We were laughing. You would have thought we were shooting a comedy.
Well,
Like
was that your method? Is that was your way of getting out of that
it,
role?
it was a way, right? It was a way of easing the tension because it would have been a very somber shoot, very somber set. had
Oh,
we
okay.
not been joking, because the subject matter is serious. So her and I had to like be silly with each other, and
Right.
it may sound bad, but we kind of like were doing like the Ike and Tina Turner type of thing. And she was being very silly herself. She was like, um, playing along, like, oh no, please don't hit, that. But we had to like crack jokes and just be silly and everybody was laughing, like everybody around
Right,
us was
I
laughing.
understood it, to avoid, like, kind of,
Be depressing.
being trapped, like, being trapped into the psyche of that, so I get it.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. And we laughed more shooting this movie than we did doing the comedic stuff that we've done.
Yeah, so
Um,
what is some other stuff, like, can you share that real quickly, some of the other, projects you have going on and what, upcoming?
yeah, so we right now on Amazon Prime, there's a film called that I am one of the leads in. It's called Sanguine Teeth on a Driftless Road, and it's about
Interesting.
four black vampires who go out to on a road trip on a cabin in the woods, and they're
Uh,
partying. It's a comedy. It's a horror comedy. It's not really
Interesting
scary.
concept. Yeah.
Yeah, I play Damascus, who is the OG vampire, who is like I'm mentoring all the other vampires, and I'm giving the history of from going back 2,000 years and what I've been through, and I'm like molding and lecturing and schooling the other guys to how they should behave and conduct themselves, and why we do certain things as vampires, to traditions and all that kind of stuff. But in the meantime, we're also in this RV, and we're traveling to this cabin to have a nice relaxing weekend. But we're partying and we're doing drugs. But we end up being hunted by some vampire hunters, and we have to fight them and do all kind of stuff.
Wow.
So
That's
a friend of mine, a white guy, actually wrote this movie, but the vampires are all black, and believe it or not, it's not cringy like you would think it would be when a white guy is writing for black characters. It's actually pretty good. Like he did a good job writing for the most part. He did a good job
mhm.
writing for these characters. So some of the dialogue is something black guys wouldn't say. It's something that some white guys may say, but other than that, it's good. It's not like cringy, stereotypical language.
Okay, good, good.
So you can find that on Amazon Prime. We also
Amazon.
released another film that him and I co-wrote called "What Have We Won." It's going to be a two-part film, part one, part two. We premiered part one on May 2nd at a local theater. Part two will be released most likely in August, and it will. It's also a comedy, but my character is supposed to be a veteran with PTSD. So there
Okay.
are serious elements, but ended up being a comedy, like a thriller action comedy type of film.
Mhm.
But it's about two guys who are grown. My character's a veteran coming home from war with PTSD. He has a baby mama he has a daughter he can't support. He's bouncing around from job to job, kind of like I did in real life, but he's really struggling. And he has his best friend, his childhood best friend that he's roommates with, who has always been a loser. And they don't have their stuff together. So they end up acquiring some money and getting themselves together, and they end up moving out west to the country and buying land and wanting to like start over. Except their past follows them. The way they got their money is not legit, and they end up being hunted essentially by
Mm.
people from their past. So they have to figure out how to get out of this situation and survive. So that's what that is about. I'm also in four films that are on Tubi, and
Okay, okay.
they're called. I have smaller roles in those, but All About a Check, All About a Check 2, Family
Mm,
Code, and
okay.
Let Me Be season 2 is the biggest role that I'm in that series. So I play Caden in that. I'm the brother of one of the main characters who is trying to talk sense into my brother, who is doing crazy stuff to the mother of his kids. So
Oh, okay, got you.
so
Yeah, so, yeah, make sure you check all these out.